Hi guys, this is Leela. Welcome to my channel leelawebdev. So in the previous video we have implemented the counter example using the useState, which we have learned, which we know about the hooks, right? So we know about the useState hook. Using that useState hook we have implemented the counter. Now it's time for us to use the alternative solution for this one, that is useReducer. So in both the ways you can do it. You can do it using the useState, or otherwise you can do it using the useReducer also. But useReducer is a React hook, I told you, right? To manage the complex state logic, if you want to maintain in the functional components, you can use this useReducer hook. So it will maintain something like it is useful to handle the state that has multiple sub values. So that is the main thing. So what is the syntax of this one? So the basic syntax of this one is, so for example, the same thing if you want to convert here. So here you will be having the basic syntax is, or otherwise what I will try to do is I will create a new variable, new file, that is counter reducer. So this is the another component which I will try to implement the same counter using the reducer. And here I will do export default function app, I will do it, okay. And here we will implement the same concept. I will do the return here div, and here we will be having one div, and I will have one counter, okay. And here we can have one div. This is simple thing, we will try to implement it very fast. So here also we have one div, and I will have one button. The same thing I will try to do minus, and another one is the reset. So these are the buttons we are having it, right? So the same code, instead of copying it, I am directly writing. Why? Because so it has some methods inside this one. So this is our same thing, simple thing. And in our app.js, instead of having this one, I will do counter reducer, okay. So counter reducer, why it is not coming? Export default function, oh, counter reducer. So we need to have counter reducer, and let's import this counter reducer here also. That's it. Now if you see the output for this one, so the same output you will get it, but nothing will be executed, right? So now we need to implement this one using the useReducer. So the basic syntax of this useReducer is, so here you will be having something like constant. So you will have the state. So here you will be having another one, dispatch. We will discuss about this one. So we need to use useReducer, okay. So useReducer should be imported from the React, and here you will be having three arguments. Normally it has three arguments. One is the reducer, which is a function. We will discuss about this one. And the and another one is an argument, or otherwise the initial value, so which we can make it as a 0, and that is an initial value. And another one is an initialization thing, which is a lazy load function, which we want, we can do it. And here the state represents the current state value. So here you can think of state as a count. So right now we have only single value, so we can think that state as a count. The dispatch is a function that is used to dispatch actions that trigger the state updates. Whenever the state updates happen, so in order to trigger the state updates, dispatch function is useful. The reducer, so here we are using the reducer, right? So this reducer, the function is responsible for specifying how the state should be updated based on the dispatched action. So based on the dispatched actions, so how the state should be updated and all those things. So this reducer function will decide. So this is a pure function actually. And initial argument is the nothing but the initial argument means initial state. What is the initial state? So we need to implement. So if you try to observe, if you are having knowledge about the Redux concept and all those things, this useReducer hook is similar in functionality to Redux reducers, but it is more lightweight and designed for local component state. It provides a way to encapsulate the logic for updating state and makes it easier to manage the complex state transformations. So let's try to see with in this one. So we have this right. So this is a reducer, is a simple function, okay. So we will have here function reducer, okay. So this is our reducer, and this has two what I can say is, so this takes the two arguments, state and an action, okay. So let's try to console the state and action. Console.log of state, and I will try to do console.log of action, okay. So now if you try to see here, this is our button, and on click, okay, I will try to do on click is equal to, I will call this increment. Now when I am calling this increment function, so okay, let's initialize this one, function inc, and here what we can do, function inc is there, and here we need to call the dispatch. Okay, so we need to call the dispatch function. So the dispatch, so we need to send the value. So what we need to increment, so we need to increment with 1. Okay, let's try to send the 1. So now if you try to see the output for this one, so let's see the output for this one. Let's go into here, and here inc is not defined. Oh, we have defined this inc, right? Function inc is there. Let's see the output again. Yeah, now it's working fine. So now when I click on this plus, so let's go to the console. When I click on this plus, so you'll be able to see that 0 is the current state and 1 is the value which we are trying to send it to the dispatch thing. Okay, fine. So what we will try to do here, we will return the state plus action. So when you are returning the value here in the reducer function, so whatever the return value you are trying to send it, so this becomes the updated state. So the initial value is the 0 at the first time. So when you have modified it, then the state will become 1. So let's see the output, and here also I will try to do console thing, and here we will return the state plus action. Okay, now let's see the output for this one. So if you try to see the output for this one, so first time the state value is 0. So if you try to see here, the state value is 0, and the action we are trying to send the value in the dispatch, the argument is 1. So fine, and next time when you click on plus, so this time the state value is 1, and here the dispatch value we are again sending it as 1 only. This time the state value will become 2, but the value which we are trying to send is always 1 only. Why? Because we are sending the argument is 1. So that means whatever the argument we are trying to send it here, so that is nothing but an action. The state means nothing but whatever the return value is there, it will be the updated state. So it depends on the previous state. So fine, so everything we are able to understand. So now let's try to implement on click is equal to decrement. So here we will try to implement function of decrement. So how we can do it? So here we need to implement the dispatch, and the logic here, it should not be plus, it should be an subtraction. So we need to do the minus. So how we can do it? So instead of sending the 1 and all those things, so normally we will send in the reducer an object. First we will try to tell the type of the action, which is what is the type of the action, that is nothing but increment, and the value or the payload, so which you want to increment is 1. Okay, and here we will try to do the type, which is a decrement, and this could be an object. The type should be an decrement, and the payload should be 1. So these many times it should be decremented. Now here we know that it will return. So here you can write in such a way that if action dot type is equal to inc, then we will return the state plus action dot payload. Okay, and if it is action dot type is equal to decrement, then we will return the state minus action dot payload. Okay, so like this we will try to do it. Now if you see the output for this one, so here if you try to see the output for this one, so nothing is there, right? So let's try to see in the components. Okay, in the counter reducer, so you'll be able to see as a hook this is a reducer, and if I am incrementing, so it is incrementing the value by 1. So here if I am decrementing, it is decrementing the value. So reducer is incrementing and decrementing. It's working fine. Let's try to implement it for the reset also. On click is equal to, or otherwise let's try to show it here. So here the value is equal to count. We'll try to show the value in this one. Okay, so that we will be able to understand it very easily. So the count this time it is showing is 3, minus if I am trying to do, it is incrementing and decrementing. Now the same thing what I will try to do is on click I will implement, and here I will use the reset. So the function reset we will be using. So here I will try to use the reset, and I will do the dispatch, the same thing. So the type will be reset here, and the payload will be payload, nothing will be there. Okay, so payload, if you want you can also do it. So we know the reset, right? So now what I can do here, if action dot type is equal to reset is there, then we will return 0. That's it, right? So here also there is no need to send the payload. We know that increment means we need to increment or decrement only by 1 value. So we can remove this one, and I can do instead of this one 1 and also -1 also we can do it. That's it. So now if you try to see the output for this one, counter is incrementing by 4, and if I try to decrease, counter is decrementing. If I click on the reset, so it is reset to 0. So it is also working fine. Now whenever I want to change the value here, so the value is not changing in the input box. So if you want to change the value in the input box, so then what I want to do here, on change is equal to set count. I will use the set count, or otherwise update count. Okay, and this update count, we will have a function update count, and here you will be getting the target, and here we will be using the dispatch, and here type set count. So we will be using the identifiers. So this is called as an identifier, and the payload, this time we need to have a payload, that is nothing but plus e.target.value, right? Now the same thing, set count, we will try to write it here in this one, the same thing. If it is an reset count means, then we need to return action.payload. So in this way we will be writing the reducer function. Now if you go and if you try to implement the same thing, so here if I write 23, so the reducer will be 23. If I increment it, so reducer will increment. If I decrement it, it will decrement, reset. The same thing we are able to achieve using the state, and also the same thing we are able to achieve using the reducer also. So this is how we will be implementing the reducer. In some places you will be able to see that instead of having this all the ifs like this, so they will use a simple switch statement. Okay, so they will use the switch statement, and they will take the action dot type. Okay, and here in this one, so they will do something like case. If it is an inc, then what they will try to write, so here they will return the state plus 1. Okay, or otherwise if it is in, so I will try to comment out case decrement is there means, then they will return state minus 1, and here I will use the case reset is there means, then they will return 0, and the last one is case set count is there means. So this one is the common approach which we will be using in the pure functions, in the reducer functions. We will return action.payload. That's it. Now I can comment out this entire code. That's completed. Now the same code will work without any problem. If you try to see, if I refresh this page, so if I increment it, then also it will work. If I decrement it, then also works. Reset also works, and everything works as usual. But this time we have implemented using the reducer thing. So this is how we will be implementing the reducer. So what I will try to do is, I will commit this code in a new branch, that is video-84. So here the counter useReducer. So we have implemented with counter useReducer. So hope you understood about this useReducer hook. If you have any doubts or any suggestions, as usual, so please post the comments below to this video. And if you like this video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you.